All right, good day, everyone. So, for this time, let's have another topic. Okay, so for 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world. So, we are going to tackle this time. It's about the seven most legendary Filipino authors. So, you will know who are they and what are one of their legendary work or most famous work. Okay. All right. New era of works and writings exist to our generation, yet much more comes out from different regions of our mainland. In the 21st century, a lot of changes came, but literatures from the past authors remains and still exists. So that's the good thing of literature, no? Even though those happenings in the past, no, hindi pa kayo isinilang that time, but however, with the works of those authors, no, the whatever na nangyari during the past time, no, it remains and still exists. So nababasa natin, nalalaman natin, and somehow especially those traditions, a culture, and somehow still exist up to this time. So thanks to literature. All right. Lot of Filipino authors stand for their creative and priceless works. Others may say that it was too old to be read, but it has a big part on our life from past era up to the present, of course, no? So, wala namang ibig sabihin na luma na yan para basahin. Well, in fact, even the life of Dr. Jose Rizal, no? When you were in college, pinag-aaralan yan. You have your subject, the life and writings of Jose Rizal. So, di ba? It wasn't too old for you to know or for you to read those stories, no? Or those, no, literary works ni Rizal, no? Through this study, we may learn to appreciate the importance of our own literatures from different regions of our land and what it contributes to us in the present and influences our personalities nowadays. All right. The seven legendary Filipino authors are the first one we have. Okay. Jessica Tarahata Hagedorn. Okay. So, sino si Jessica Tarahata Hagedorn? Jessica Tarahata Hagedorn, a Filipino playwright, writer, poet, and a multimedia performance artist, born in 1949 in Manila, Philippines, and moved in San Francisco in 1963, best known for her 1990 novel, which is Dog Eaters. All right. Her mother is a Scot-Irish, French-Filipino, and her father is a Filipino-Spanish with one Chinese ancestor. All right. What is the contribution of Jessica Hagedorn in the Philippine literature? Her mixed media style often incorporates song, poetry, images, and spoken dialogue. Hagedorn received three MacDowell Colony Fellowships, which helped enable her to write the novel Dog Eaters, winner of the American Book Award and a finalist for the National Book Award. Okay. Famous work of Jessica Hagedorn, Dog Eaters, that is in 1990, is a historical fiction literary novel by Jessica Hagedorn set in 1950s Manila. The novel is a great reckoning with mid-century Filipino politics, the fallout of Spanish imperialism and occupation, class struggle, and American influences. So that's all about the dog eaters. No, it's not literally the dog eaters, na ibig sabihin yung mga tao talaga ay gano'n, no? The people who eat dogs, no? Hindi gano'n. Okay, just the title, but it's not really the content of it, no? Dog Eaters set in the late 1950s in Manila, the capital of the Philippines, addresses several social, political, and cultural issues present in the Philippines during the 1950s. You see, it was all about those social issues, political, cultural issues, those things, no? The title is a common derogatory term referring to the Filipino natives who supposedly eat dogs instead of pork or chicken. Okay. The play ends with a collective prayer for hope in Manila. The sprawling events of dog eaters have been witnessed by Rio, who finds she returned to her home nation more often than she thought she would. Time has passed, and the country has just elected a favored action star, its president. The soap opera continues. All right. One of her famous work is Mango Tango. or Vine magazine just on January 1, 1977. Stage Mango Tango, a poetic series, a breathily delivered ballad about a middle-class Manila girl who wants to be a dancer, gets married to an unfaithful husband. So yun yung story ng Mango Tango, no? The- Is left alone and dances by herself to the songs of Dorothy Lamour, has no underpinning and no attachment to anything. Wait lang. Sana ako. All right. So is left alone and dances by herself to the songs of Dorothy Lamour, has no underpinning and no attachment of anything. It splits the mild exoticism of its Manila setting, but otherwise it is without head or feet. Her other famous work are Toxicology, Dream Jungle, The Gangster of Love, and including The Dog Eaters, winner of the American Book Award and a finalist for the National Book Award. So that's all about Jessica Tarahata Hagidor. Now let's have Francisco Chanel. Francisco Chanel Jose. Okay, so sino si Francisco Jose? Francisco Chanel Jose was born on December 3, 1924 and died on January 6, 2022. Was a Filipino writer who is one of the most widely read Filipino writer, novelist, and journalist. A national artist of the Philippines for literature, which was best owed upon him in 2001. Jose's novels and short stories depict the social underpinning of class struggles and colonialism in Filipino society. So, ito yung pinaka-main ng mga novels niya, no? Class struggles and colonialism in Filipino society. All right. Jose's works written in English have been translated into 28 languages, including Korean, Indonesian, Czech, Russian, Latvian, Ukrainian, and Dutch, etc. Okay, so you see, so para ano, para tawag dito, talagang masabi natin na maraming naka-relate, okay? Maraming may gustong basahin yung gawa ni Chanel Jose, no? Yung biruin mo naman, it has been translated to 28 languages, no? So, imagine nyo yan para i-translate nila sa kanilang lengguwahe. So, it has, talagang masasabi natin na na-relate talaga nila yon, no? It's all about class struggles kasi, and even up to this time, no? Talaga namang ano siya, present in our present generation today. One of his famous works, the Rosales Saga novel that is a 1962 to 1984, also known as the Rosales novel, series of 5 historical and political novels, okay? So one of his famous work, Rosales Saga or Rosales novels. Tandaan ha. Next, chronologically, it is composed of 5 interconnected novels, namely Poon, written in 1984, 3, written in 1978, My Brother, My Executioner, written in 1973, The Pretenders, written in 1962, and Mass, written in 1973. The Rosales Saga traced the 5 generations of 2 families, namely the Samsons, poor farmers, and the Aspiri wealthy mestizos through Spanish and American periods in the history of the Philippines until the period after the Philippine independence. Alright. Jose began writing the series in 1962 and completed it in 1984. The most famous work of Francisco the Pretenders. Chanel Jose the Pretenders, the fourth book in the Rosales Saga, is one of the author's most famous works as its themes remain relevant today: corruption, poverty, and the Filipino identity. So that's why, di ba? So, naisali na nga sa 28 languages. Okay? So, and at the same time, of course, no, kasi naman yung mga theme, okay, it's still relevant up to this time, no? So, syempre, lahat naman to, yung poverty, the corruption, and those Philippine identity na pinaglalaban natin, no? Okay, the pretenders portray the master and servant and lord and slave relationship in the industrial world of Manila, Philippines. The timeline is set during the years after the Second World War, during the 1950s, because of a reference to Ramon Magsaysay found at the final pages of the novel. Other novels we have Gagambad or Spider-Man, that is on 1991, Vero 1993, Scene 1994, Binsinko 2001, Impita 1980, and etc. His notable awards: Order of National Artist of the Philippines, Pablo Neruda Centennial Award in 2004, Chevalier Dance Order of these Arts Illustrious 2000, Ramon Magsaysay Award for Journalism, Literature and Creative Communication Arts 1980, City of Manila Award for Literature 1979, Carlos Palanca Memorial Award for Literature that is 1959, 1979, 1980, and 1981. So, ang dami niyang nakuhang awards, no? Next, we have Nick Joaquin. Okay, sino naman si Nick Joaquin? Or Nicomedes Marquez Joaquin. He was a Filipino writer, historian, and journalist, best known for his short stories and novels in the English language. Okay, Joaquin was conferred the rank and title of National Artist of the Philippines for Literature. Nicomedes Nick Joaquin Marquez, fondly called Onching by close family and friends, was declared one of the most important Filipino writers along with Jose Rizal and Claro and Recto. He was also called the greatest Filipino writer in his generation. Okay? May 4, 1917 in Paco, Manila, and died on April 29, 2004. In his self-confessed mission as a writer, he is a sort of cultural apostle whose purpose is to revive interest in Philippine national life through literature and provide the necessary drive and inspiration for a fuller comprehension of their cultural background. All right. His awareness of the significance of the past to the present is part of a concerted effort to preserve the spiritual tradition and the orthodox faith of the Catholic past, which he perceives as the only solution to our modern ills. Okay? So, dapat parang cultural tradition, spiritual tradition, no? So, our spiritual aspect parang sa mga gawa niya. So, parang binibigyan niya ng significance or nag-emphasis na um our spiritual well-being, no, is the only solution sa mga modern ills, okay, kung ano mang nararamdaman natin. And it's true, no? 'Di ba? Of course, in every aspect of our life, if we had the spiritual, if maganda yung pamumuhay mong spiritual, so somehow whatever trials or problems na kinakaharap mo, or even you were facing someone who is in, talagang sabihin na natin kakaiba ang ugali, however, 'di ba, if you are in good terms with or if you are spiritually good, no, yung ano mo, spiritual aspect mo ay maganda. Maganda ang foundation, then therefore somehow it helps you adjust, no? Okay, to a certain situation. Okay. Nick Wilkins' famous work in these years include Prose and Poems 1952, Three Stories in the Free Press 1965 to 1966, and The Portrait of the Artist as a Filipino included in the first edition of Nick Wilkins' Prose and Poems were the titles The Woman Who Had Two Navels, that is in 1961, and The La Naval de Manila, 1964. Nick Wilkins' Prose and Poems. The short stories in Nick Wilkins' Prose and Poems were a revelation. Here was someone who came of age during a great world war, someone who could write as feelingly about the genteel, wait, someone who could write as feelingly about the genteel glitter of the past as he could about the raptures and uncertainties of the present. Okay. The Woman Who Had Two Navels. Okay, what's this story about? This book is a fictional story of a Filipino woman who believes she has two navels. It is widely considered as a classic in Philippine literature. It is divided into 5 chapters. the Paco Macho, La Vidal, the Chinese Moon, and the Dr. Monson. Okay, other works of Nick Wilkins, so we have Dolph Leon and Other Communists 1977, A Question of Heroes 1977, Stories for Groovy Kids 1979, Almanac for Manileños 1979 as well, Manila, Sin City and Other Chronicles, that it's 1980, Language of the Streets and the Other Essays, that's 1980 pa din, Reportage on the Marcoses 1979 to 1981. All right. The awards and prizes he has received. Republic Cultural Heritage Awards, that is on 1961. Stonehill Award for the novel 1960 first prize. Philippine Free Press Short Story Contest 1949 first prize. Palanca Memorial Award 1957 to 1958. The Zia Villas Honor Roll 1940. And the National Artist Award, that is on 1976. Next, we have Merlinda Bobbies. Okay, sino si Merlinda Bobbies? Merlinda Bobbies is an award-winning contemporary Philippine Australian writer. She started off as a painter but grew into a writer as painting with words was cheaper. Born in Legazpi City on November 25, 1959, dancer and visual artist Carlos Palanca Memorial Awards for Poetry, that is on 1963. Works of Merlinda Bobbies. So we have Fish Hair Woman, okay, that is published on 2012, won the prestigious Philippine National Book Award. The novel is set in Bicol, the fourth poorest region in the Philippines where Bobbies grow up. Okay. Rita's Lullaby won the Best Radio Play International Prix Italia Award, that is on 1998. Portrait of Two Manila Street Kids, Rita and Jay. White Turtle, originally published in 1999, collection of 23 short stories, Steel Rod Award, and the Philippine National Book Award in 2000. All right. Other works of Merlinda Bobbies, we have Banana Heart Summer, that is on 2004, The Kissing 2001. Okay. The Solemn Lantern Maker 2008, Locust Girl in 2015, The Kindness of Birds in 2021 from Cell 9 Life. Today, Manila, 1990 Politics. Si Dalisay Jr., okay? So we're done with Merlinda Bobis. Now let's have Jose Dalisay Jr., known by his pen name Butch Dalisay, Filipino writer born in Romblon in January 15, 1954, authored more than 30 books since 1984. Professional editor, he has also won 16 awards at the Don Carlos Palanca Memorial Awards for Literature. So we have here the works of Jose Dalisay, Killing Time in a Warm Place, that is published in 1992, National Book Award for Fiction, Palanca Grand Prize for the novel, UP President Award for Most Outstanding Publication, that is in 1993, novel of growing up in the Philippines during the Marcos years. Next, we have Soledad Sister, published in 2008, shortlisted for the inaugural Man Asian Literary Prize in 2007. Story of a Filipino woman who suffered abuses in foreign countries. Other works of Jose Dalisay, we have Soledad Rocambolesco, Romanzo Filipino, Italian edition 2009. In Flight, Two Novels of Philippines, a combined U.S. edition 2011, L'Essor de Soledad, French edition in 2013. Okay. The Knowing is in the Writing, Notes on the Practice of Fiction in 2006. Pagsabog ng Liwanag, Aninag, Anino, Dalawang Dula ng Naantalang Revolusyon 1996. Pinoy Septic and Other Poems in 2011. So those were the works of sino nga yun? Dalisay, Jose Dalisay. Next, we have Luis Francia. Okay, sino si Luis Francia? Luis Francia, award-winning author. Luis Francia is a Filipino-American poet, author, and teacher. He has lived in New York for decades, but his experiences of growing up in the Philippines continue to shape the stories he tells the world. Luis Francia, he immigrated to the U.S. after finishing college, where he wrote and co-edited the Village Voice newspapers for more than 20 years. Works of Luis Francia, notable works. So we have Eye of the Fish, A personal archipelago paints a vivid and detailed portrait of the terror, beauty, and insistent humanity of the Philippines today. A myth of Gosh, author of The Glass Palace, described France's memoir as a hugely readable travelogue and an indispensable guide to a fascinating and richly varied archipelago. Won a Pen Open Book Award and Asian American Literary Award. Museum of Absences, that is in 2004, a book of France's insistence scent of the void that haunts our lives, whether because of politics, fate, history, or personal circumstance. Next, we have another work of Francia. We have The Beauty of Cost in 2010. This book attempts to individualize the Filipino immigrant experiences to the United States and is made up of idiosyncratic suite of poems the poet envisions as a theater of poetry. Okay. History of the Philippines from India's Bravos to Filipinos, Luis H. Francia creates an illuminating portrait that offers the reader valuable insights into the heart and soul of the modern Filipino, laying bare the multicultural, multiracial society of contemporary times. Next, we have, of course, our dear national hero, one of the most famous legendary authors, of course. So that is Dr. Jose Rizal. Okay. Jose Rizal was born on June 99, 1861 and was died on December 30, 1896 was a man of intellectual power and artistic talent whom honored as the national hero of the Philippines. He was a doctor, patriot, prolific writer, poet, and essayist. He opposed violence but battled injustice using his pen. So yun ang kagandahan ni Rizal, no? So unlike those other mga ano natin, mga heroes natin, no, na talagang yung mga heroes natin dati ay talagang lalaban kung lalaban, no? Lakas sa lakas. But Jose Rizal believed in, of course, he opposed violence. So para sa kanya, mas maganda na rin yung parang ang laban para sa kanya it's in a diplomatic way, no? Dapat hindi yung violence, no? So works of Jose Rizal, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. These are social commentaries that sharply reveal the injustices of Spanish colonization while praising the Filipino in his most natural state. The novels, which are surprisingly rare and romantic, crystallize the growing anti-Spanish sentiment and were born within the Philippines. Okay. Works of Jose Rizal. Okay, so I have here the works of Jose Rizal, the execution of Jose Rizal at 35 years old set of the Philippine Revolution and paved the way for the country's independence. Even without these dramatic events, Rizal's book and his final poem, Mi Ultimo Adios, stand on their own literary merit and have influenced source of Filipino writers since. Poem, so Mi Ultimo Adios was Rizal's poetic tribute, his last farewell to the country he loved so much. Rizal died without seeing the dawn of a new day, yet he did see the dawning of a new democracy. In our country, it was his last farewell, a farewell to the old system, to tyranny and to oppression. To My Fellow Children by Dr. Jose Rizal Paler, or the English version of it. So that's the English version, To My Fellow Children, or in other words, that is sa aking mga kababata, okay? So here is a short lines of the poem. Whenever people of a country truly love the language which by heaven they were taught to use, that country also surely liberty pursue, as does the bird with source of freer space above. For the language is the final judge and referee upon the people in the land where it holds sway. In truth, our human race resembles in this way the other living beings born in liberty. Whoever knows not how to love his native tongue is worse than any best or evil smelling fish. To make our language richer ought to be our wish. The same way as any mother loves to feed her young. Tagalog and the Latin language are the same, and English and Castilian and the angel's tongue. And God, whose watchful care over all is flung, has given us his blessing in the speech we claim. Our mother tongue, like all the highest that we know, had alphabet and letters of its very own. But these were lost by furious waves or were overthrown, like bankas in the stormy sea long years ago. So those were the lines of farewell. Okay, or sa aking kababata. Okay, so other known Filipino writers and artists of Philippine literature. So aside from those seven, so we still have another, okay. So mga well-known din naman sila, no? We have Francisco Balagtas de la Cruz. So Francisco Balagtas de la Cruz, Francisco Balagtas is commonly known as Francisco Balagtas or Francisco Baltazar, was a prominent Filipino poet during the Spanish colonial period of the Philippines. All right. He is widely considered one of the greatest Filipino literary laureates for his impact on the Filipino literature. He is acknowledged as the master of traditional Tagalog poetry. Born on April 2, 1788 in Balagtas, died on February 20, 1862 in Orion. Nickname is Francisco Baltazar. Full name Francisco Balagtas E. de la Cruz, spouse Juana Chambeng. He took up canon law, philosophy, Latin, and the classics. Francisco endeavored to improve his writing and craft under the early tutelage of Jose de la Cruz, also known as Jose Cicero, the famous poet from Tondo. These are his known completed works. Okay. La India Elegante y El Negrito Amante, a short play, Orosman at Zafira, a commedia in three parts, Florante at Laura, also known as Binagdaan ng Buhay ni Florante at Laura sa Kaharian ng Albania. This is his most notable and famous work. His masterpiece, Florante at Laura, is said to be inspired by the story of his life and lost love. Okay. In fact, the term for the extemporaneous debate done in verse form and spoken in Filipino is named after Francisco Balagtas de Balagtasan. Okay, so yung Balagtasan, it was named after his name. Okay, the former Folks Art Theater, the amphitheater in downtown Manila, has been renamed Tanghalang Francisco Balagtas in his honor. April 2, his birthday, has also been declared through various proclamations as a special non-working holiday in the province of Bulacan in his honor. Indeed, Francisco Balagtas and his legacy is the pride of Bulacan and of the Philippines. Next, we have Jose de la Cruz. Jose de la Cruz. Okay. Was born on December 21, 1746, okay, a Tagalog poet and a mentor of Francisco Balagtas, author of Florante at Laura, okay. Was born in Tondo, Manila. He was one of the great Tagalog writers during the Spanish colonization of the Philippines. He is given the honor of Hari ng Makatang Tagalog. He is the foremost exponent of the Commedia during his time. De la Cruz died on March 12, 1829, the age of 82, popularly called by his nickname Huseng Siseo. Bakit? Okay, or Jose Chick. Because if ever someone asked him to write a poem about love, he wants Siseo or Chick to give him in return. So yun pala. So pinangalanan siya ng Huseng Siseo, no? Kasi kapag ginawa siya, in return gusto niya Siseo ang kapalit, no? Okay. Some of his known works are Clarito, Adela at Florante, Flora at Clavella, Doce Pares de Francia, Rodrigo de Filias, Historia Famosa de Bernardo Carpio, Prinsipe Baldovino, Singsing ng Pag-ibig. Okay, so here is the Singsing of Pag-ibig. Singsing ng Pag-ibig or Ring of Love, okay? Sayang na sayang, sayang na pag-ibig, sayang na singsing kong nahulog sa tubig. Kung ikaw rin lamang ang makasasagip, manghahintin kong kumati ang tubig. Okay, that's Singsing ng Pag-ibig, no? Okay, let's have the English version. This is the Ring of Love. Too bad for my love on me. Too bad my ring fell into the sea. If no one but you could get it for me, I'd rather wait till the sea ebbs away. Okay, so I love to read The Ring of Love compared to Singsing ng Pag-ibig. Parang nakakabulol yung part na yan. Anyway, so let's have another well-known notable writers. So you have Lualhati Torres Bautista. Okay, sino si Lualhati Torres Bautista? Born on December 2, 1945 in Tondo, Manila. Died in February 12, 2023. Parents Gloria Torres Esteban Bautista. Awards Carlos Palanca Memorial Awards for Short Story in Filipino. Carlos Palanca Memorial Awards for Novel in Filipino. Education Florentino Torres High School 1962. Lyceum of the Philippines University. Okay. Is one of the foremost Filipino female novelists in the history of contemporary Philippine literature. Bautista garnered several Palanca Awards in 1980, 1983, and in 1984 for her novels. Gapo and another we have Dekada 70, Ang Bata-Bata, Paano Ka Ginawa, and it's her most popular novels. Okay. She also received she also served as a vice president of Screenwriters Guild of the Philippines as a chair of the kapisanan ng mga manunulat ng nobelang popular. As she was the only Filipino included in a book on for most international women writers published in Japan in 1991. Popular novels of Luwalhati, which is Gapo, number 1, Gapo, that was in 1988, no? Okay. Its complete title is Gapo at Isang Puting Pilipino sa Mundo ng mga Amerikanong Kulay Brown. It showed the situation of the American occupation here in the Philippines, especially how Filipinos were discriminated by these foreigners. These novels also showed the ignorance of the country's government regarding the happenings in the base of Americans. So, yun pala yung ibig sabihin nun. Okay, yun yung pinaka-focus or pinaka-content ng book niya. Next, we have Dekada 70, 1983. It's a political novel that follows the story of a family caught in the middle of the tumultuous decade of the 1970s. It details how a middle-class family struggled and faced the changes that empowered Filipinos to rise against the Marcos government. The novel was adapted as a 2002 film of the same name under Stars Cinema. Okay, next we have Bata-Bata, Paano Ka Ginawa, that was published in 1988, no? One of the famous work of Luwalhati pa din. This subject discussed and revealed by Luwalhati Bautista's novel, which has 32 chapters. The work narrates the life of Leia, a working mother who has 2 children, a young girl and a young boy, and for this reason, the novel depicts the society's view of women, how it is to be a mother, and how a mother executes this role through modern day concepts of parenthood. So maganda yun pala yung nun. It's about being a mother, being a parent, no? Kung ano yung mga ginagawa. Okay. Alejandro Roses. Born on July 13, 1924 in Manila, died on May 23, 2011, by the age of 86, Manila, Philippines. Nationality, of course, he's a Filipino, and spouse is Irene Houston Viola. Parents, Rafael Roses and Inocencia Reyes. Okay. So his occupation, journalist, he is an author, essayist, dramatist, teacher, and a public servant. Known for changing the date of Philippine Independence Day from July 4 to June 12, recovering the stolen original manuscript of No Limitang El Filibusterismo and Mi Ultimo Adios. Changed the language used in the Philippines passports, coin, bills, and diplomas to wikang pambansa. Facts, Dean Institute of Arts and Science, Far Eastern University, Manila, Philippines, is 1955 to 1961. Secretary, Department of Education, Philippines, 1961 to 1965. 2001 to 2002, Chairman, Movie and Television Review and Classification Board, Quezon City, Philippines, that is in 2001 to 2002. Roses was appointed a chairman of the Movie and Television Review and Classification Board, where he served until 2002. In addition, he published books including Of Cocks and Kites in 1959, Fiesta in 1980, and Something to Crow About 2000. 5. Alejandro's book, Something to Crow About, Monte Ali Award for Best Musical and Best Director for a Musical Production. Next, we have Zoilo Galang. Okay? Zoilo Galang, Zoilo Galang was a Filipino writer from Pampanga. He is credited as one of the pioneering Filipino writers who work with this English language. He is the author of the first Philippine novel written in English language, A Child of Sorrow, published in 1921. Was born on June 27, 1895, and Bacoor in Bacolor. Okay, he studied at Pampanga High School and died at the age of 60. Okay, and died on 1959, age 63 to 64. Books A Child of Sorrow, okay, that is in 1963 to 1964. Famous work A Child of Sorrow, 1921. Tales of the Philippines, 1921. Life and Success, 1921. Zoilo's famous work is we have A Child of Sorrow, that is in 1921, Tales of the Philippines 1921 pa din, Life and Success, that is 1921 pa rin. Next we have Genoveva Matute. Okay, sino si Genoveva Matute? Was a Filipino author in 1951. She was the recipient of the first ever Palangka Awards for short story in Filipino for Kwento ni Mabuti, which has been cited as the most anthologized Tagalog language short story. Was born on January 3, 1915 in Santa Cruz, Manila. Died on March 21, 2009 in Cubao. Okay. His her her husband is Epifanio Matute. Okay, books Ako'y Isang Tinig, Awards Carlos Palanca Memorial Awards for short story in Filipino. She studied in Philippine Normal University. Famous works is Kwento ni Mabuti, Ako'y Isang Tinig, and ang kanilang mga sugat. Okay. Next, we have Amado V. Hernandez. Sino si Amado V. Hernandez? Commonly known as, okay, Amado V. Hernandez, commonly known as Ama ng Manggagawa, was a Filipino writer and labor leader who is known for his criticism of social injustices in the Philippines and was later imprisoned for his involvement in the communist movement. Was born on September 30, 1903 in Tondo, Manila. Died on March 24, 1970, Manila. Okay. So, spouse Atang Dilarama in Awards, National Artist of Philippines for Literature, and she studied at UST Faculty of Arts and Letters, Manila High School. Famous work, Isang Dapit, Isang Dipang Langit. Okay, this is a famous work of Amado V. Hernandez. Isang dipang langit. Ako'y ipiniit ng linsil na puno hangat. Palibasang diwa ko'y piitin. Katawang marupok aniyay pagsuko. Damdami supil na't mitiin ay supil. Ikinulong ako sa kutang malupit, bato bakal punlo, balasik ng bantay. Lubos na tiwalag sa buong daigdig. At inaring kahit buhay man ay patay. Sa munting dungangan tanging apot malas ay sandipang langit, na puno ng luha maramot na birang ng pusong may sugat. Watawat ng aking pagkapariwara. Simtalim ng kidlat ang mata ng tanod sa pintong may susit, walang makalapit sigaw ng bilanggo sa katabing muong. Anaki at tungal ng hayop sa yungib. Ang maghapoy tila isang tanikala na nakakaladkad ng paang madugo ang buong magdamag ay kulambong luksa ng kabaong waring lungga ng bilanggo. Kung minsay magdaan ang payak na yabag, kawil ng kadena ang kumakalanding, sa maputlang araw saglit ibibilad. 1,000 aninong iniluwa ng dilim. At ito ang tanging daigdig ko ngayon, bilanggong mandilibingan ng buhay, 10, 20 at lahat ng taon ng buong buhay ko'y dito mapipigtan. Ngunit yaring diway walang takot, hirap at batis pa rin itong aking puso. Piit ay bahagi ng pagkikilamas, mapiit ay tanda ng di pagsuko. Ang tao't bathala ay di natutulog at di habang araw ang api ay api. Tanang paniniil ay may pagtutuos, habang may bastilyay may bayang gaganti. At bukas diyan din aking matatanaw, sa sandipang langit na wala ng luha, sisikat ang gintong araw ng tagumpay. Layang sasalubong ako sa paglaya. So those were the lines of the poem na or sa tulang Sandipang Langit. Alright? So that ends my discussion for today. Thank you for having me. Thank you for watching. Thank you. And I hope you learned something from the discussion that we have. Alright? So thank you everyone and God bless you all.